Some children see him lily white, the baby Jesus born this night. Some children see him lily white, with tresses soft and fair. Some children see him bronzed and brown, the Lord of heaven to earth come down. Some children see him bronzed and brown, with dark and heavy hair. Some children see him all on night, the Savior whom we kneel beside. Some children see him all on night, with skin of yellow hue. Some children see him dark as day, sweet Mary's Son, to whom we pray. Some children see him dark as they, and they love him too. The children in each different place will see the baby Jesus' face, like theirs, but bright with heavenly grace, and filled with holy light. Oh, lay aside each earthly thing, and with thy heart as offering, come worship now the infant King. 'Tis love that's born tonight. 'Tis love that's born tonight.
Welcome to our Christmas worship. On this Christmas day, no matter what our circumstances may be, may joy rise up within us as we join the angels in singing of God's grace and glory. May the reading of the Christmas story confirm in our hearts that Jesus, the one called Emmanuel, God with us, is in our midst still. And in this coming Christmas season, may we have renewed courage and hope, so that we may offer peace and goodwill to everyone, that we may do justice and come beside others with love, and to join the Spirit in sharing all that we have seen and heard. Merry Christmas to all of you. This poem is called Christmas Carol. It was written by Paul Laurence Dunbar, who lived from 1872 to 1906. He was an American poet born to parents who had been enslaved in Kentucky. Ring out, ye bells, all nature swells with gladness at the wondrous story. The world was lorn, but Christ is born. to change our sadness into glory. Sing, earthlings, sing. Tonight a king hath come from heaven's high throne to bless us. The outstretched hand o'er all the land is raised in pity to caress us. Come at his call, be joyful all. Away with mourning and with sadness. The heavenly choir with holy fire, their voices raise in songs of gladness. The darkness breaks and dawn awakes, her cheeks suffused with youthful blushes. The rocks and stones in holy tones are singing sweeter than the thrushes. Then why should we in silence be, when nature lends her voice to praises, when heaven and earth proclaim the truth of him for whom that lone star blazes? No, be not still, but with a will, strike all your harps and set them ringing. On hill and heath, let every breath throw all its power into singing.
Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 20. In those days a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and the family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no place for them in the guest room.
In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors." When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child laying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them. This is the word of God. Thanks be to God.
Merry Christmas. We're here to read you a story called Elijah's Angel. Elijah Pierce, one of the main characters, was a renowned woodcarver, lay minister, barber, and personal friend to many of his visitors. He lived from 1892 to 1984. And the author of this book, Michael Rosen, knew him when he was a little boy, and this is a story about their friendship. And the illustrator, Amina Brenda Lynn Robinson, was also a neighbor of Elijah Pierce and spent many hours in his barber shop. Elijah's Angel. Last year, when I was 9, Christmas Eve and the first night of Hanukkah fell on the same day. And that day, my friend Elijah gave me an angel. Elijah is more than 6 feet tall and more than 80 years old. Elijah's angel was only 1 foot tall. Its wings are polka dotted. Its eyes are diamonds. Its robes sparkle with glitter. Elijah used to live in Mississippi, where his father was a slave. But now Elijah lives in Columbus, Ohio, where he has been a barber for 50 years. Elijah's angel used to be just a piece of wood until Elijah carved it in his barber shop. I met Elijah when my 4th grade class visited his shop. Since the shop is close to where we live, I kept visiting. I walked there after Hebrew school on Mondays. Mostly I watch Elijah carve. Sometimes I whittle a scrap of wood for myself, or I watch Elijah trim the thin hair of customers as old as he is. Some days I just walk around the barber shop. The shop is one small room, as crowded with Elijah's carvings as Elijah's carvings of Noah's Ark are crowded with animals. Whenever I think that I've seen everything, the next week there was always something I don't remember. Did you just carve this one, Elijah, I ask? About 20 years ago, he replies. That's pretty new. Elijah's carvings hang on every single wall, one above another, up to the ceiling. They line the windowsills, the shelves, and even the counter where his combs and scissors rest. The curlicues of wood cover the floor along with the curls of hair from the customers' heads. And Elijah's stories mingle with the hissing and shushing of an old radiator, filling the shop with something as thick as singing. A snake zigzags across a table. Crouched on a high shelf, a tiger bares its toothpick teeth. Speckled dogs and teetering storks and lots of other creatures circle Elijah's barber chair as if they were listening to his stories. Are the animals from the Bible, Elijah? I asked one time. Everything's from the Bible, Michael.
I'm still saving so I can buy one of Elijah's animals. The pelican, maybe, or the Dalmatian, or a new elephant whose tusks are made from a plastic fork. We have one of Elijah's works in our kitchen. It's called Fruits of the Earth, a tree bursting with apples, pineapples, pears, bananas, and honeydews. We're Jewish, so I knew my parents weren't going to buy Elijah's God and the Angels, or the infant Jesus. Those are called graven images, my father explained to me. Jews don't think God has one particular face, so we don't believe he can be pictured. I kind of understand that. My favorite of Elijah's pictures is Noah's Ark. There are even 2 mosquitoes, Elijah always points out. The book of wood is larger than the table on which it rests. It tells about the life of Jesus, which I don't know very well, but Elijah knows by heart. If he doesn't have a customer, Elijah will stand at the book of wood and point to one of his carved pages and tell that part of the story. The book of wood is heavier than a cellar door. I have to help Elijah turn the pages. Elijah speaks softly as if he and the figures already know the story.
But I was telling you about Hanukkah and Christmas Eve when Elijah was carving angels. All along the counter, a band of half-finished angels seemed to float around Elijah. I was counting out the diamond eyes for him when I asked, "Is there a story behind these angels?" "Oh, lots of stories, even stories about an angel named Michael. But I'll tell you about an angel I met when I was your age." And Elijah walked over to his carving called Obey God and Live. "Here I am in the kitchen, and you see the two books on the table?" "Sure," I said. And I could see the carved boy that was Elijah and the carved lady that was his mother. Well, I reached right past the Bible and grabbed the Sears Roebuck catalog. That's this part here. So God sent down an angel, and the angel struck me on the head. "I told you to read the Bible, but you disobeyed me," the angel said, "so I'm just showing you my power." Elijah pointed to the hand that reached through the ceiling. And here's my family carrying me to bed. They thought I was dead. I've heard Elijah tell the story of Obey God and Live to lots of people. Each time it's strange and eerie. He was my age when it happened. Elijah returned to his chair and blew the wood dust from the angel he'd been carving. "So now just about everything I carve is a piece of the Bible. I should have been a preacher. People like to ask about my pictures, and I can tell them the gospel and they listen. Like you, Michael." Even though Elijah talks about Jesus and the Bible more than anyone I've ever met, I never thought about being the only visitor who wasn't a good Christian. I also didn't think about being 75 years younger or a different color from the other people at Elijah's. I just thought that Elijah and I were friends. We shared time together, the way Hanukkah and Christmas shared the same day that year.
Here's another thing about angels, Michael. One is watching over you right now, Elijah said. God created angels before he created people, so the angels could guide us. I had heard of guardian angels before, though I was sure there couldn't be one for a Jewish boy like me. But I didn't say anything. I just listened to Elijah's hoarse voice and watched the flecks of wood flying from his blade. We talk about school and whittled. I was making a whale until it was time to leave. I wished Elijah a Merry Christmas, and we shook hands as usual. But then Elijah didn't let go of my fingers. With his free hand, he reached for one of the new glittering polka-dotted angels. "Merry Christmas, Michael. I want you to have this special angel," he said, and placed the carving in my hand. "You know I send prayers to all the wood I've ever carved. Now you'll always be in my prayers." I always pick up Elijah's carvings, but the new one felt strange, glittery and sticky from varnish. But stranger than just that, it was different from the other carving in the shop because Elijah had chosen it for me. I clutched the angel. "Elijah, but I can't," I stammered. "Someone may want to buy this one."
"Now don't go being polite. Merry Christmas," Elijah repeated. But how could I bring home a Christmas angel for Hanukkah? "Better zip it up inside your jacket," Elijah suggested. So I held the angel against my chest, and Elijah tugged the zipper up to my chin. I was afraid of breaking it or smothering it or something. "There," Elijah said, "now you'll both keep warm." I remembered to say thank you, but all I could think of was the angel pressing against me. What was I going to do? I did want the angel because it was carved by my friend Elijah. But what would my parents say? A Christmas angel, a graven image in a Jewish home? I thought of Elijah's carving, obey God and live. What if that hand crashed through the roof of our house? Would the hand seize the carved angel? Would it strike me on the head? Was I disobeying God? I dashed through our back door, rushed to my bedroom, and sealed the angel inside an old tackle box I call my safe. Inside it are the silver dollars my grandfather gives me each Hanukkah. But I could still feel the angel's eyes on me, watching me as if it really were my guardian angel. Elijah's prayers were coming through the metal box, through the closet door, through our whole house. Before dinner, I moved the angel to my bookshelf. Then I hid it beside my bed so I could touch it as I fell asleep. I kept thinking of Elijah's slavery days, as if the angel were hiding like a slave on the Underground Railroad.
The first night of Hanukkah, which was also Christmas Eve, my mother and father and I stood around the menorah. I had made it out of painted spools and sequins in Hebrew school. It wasn't my neatest project, but my parents still put away their beautiful silver menorah and put 2 candles in mine. "Will you say the blessing?" my father asked me. My mother turned off the lights, struck a match, and lit the candle. "Blessed art thou, Lord our," I said. In the glow of the light, I saw Elijah's carving fruits of the earth. And instead of saying the words to the prayer, I heard Elijah's voice, "I send prayers to all the wood I've ever carved." But then my father prompted me, and my mother lit the second candle with the first candle, and we finished the prayer together. "Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who commanded us to sanctify the Hanukkah lights." As soon as we finished, I bolted from the room. "What's so urgent?" my mother asked. When I returned in a minute with the angel behind my back, I said, I, and thrust the angel toward my parents. "Oh, you shouldn't have, Michael," my mother exclaimed. "Honey, you've already given us the menorah." "But I didn't." "It's Elijah's, right?" my father guessed. "What a beautiful piece. Did you spend all your—" "I didn't." "Oh, good," my mother said, tugging me into her arms. Thank you 1,000,000 times." "But you don't understand," I finally said. "Elijah gave the angel to me for Christmas. It's a Christian guardian angel." Tears ran down my eyes. "Don't be upset. We didn't mean to take it from you," my father said, wrapping his arms too around my shoulders. "Elijah's a wonderful man." "But why didn't you show us sooner?" my mother asked. "Because it's a guardian angel," I whispered. "One of those graven images. We aren't allowed." My father shook his head. This angel means to you, what this angel means to you doesn't have to be what it means to Elijah." "It doesn't?" My mother set Elijah's angel beside the menorah. "What I think it means is that Elijah cares about you. I think that's what he wants it to mean to you. It's an angel of friendship. And doesn't friendship mean the same thing in every religion?" "I'm sure Elijah would agree with that," my father added, as he ushered us to the dining room table.
For dinner, we mainly ate latkes. I grated the potatoes and my mother fried them up just like pancakes. And then we called a long distance to my mother's parents and my father's mother, to all my aunts and uncles and their families, to wish them happy Hanukkah. I opened just one of my presents that night. Inside were 9 silver dollars from my grandfather, one for every year of my life. When it was finally time for bed, I lifted the angel from the kitchen counter. The menorah's 2 candles were tiny wicks about to sputter out, and moved it to my nightstand as though it were about to guard me while I slept. On Christmas morning, I peeled the hardened wax from the menorah and wrapped my present in Hanukkah gift wrap. Then my parents and I wrapped ourselves up in winter coats. Since there was no traffic, we walked down the middle of our snowy street, the only people outside, a Jewish family out for a walk on Christmas morning. We made it all the way to Elijah's barber shop without seeing a moving car or another person, and our footprints connected our house and his barber shop in a perfect dotted line.
A sign on Elijah's door read, "Closed, Merry Christmas." We knew he wouldn't be there. I opened the storm door and slid the menorah inside. Before I slipped my card under the ribbon, I read it to my parents. "Merry Christmas, Elijah, your friend Michael. P.S. Thank you for making me an angel." My parents laughed and my mother said, "We thought you were already an angel." The next night, after we had hid the candles and lit the candles in our menorah, I asked, "Are you sure Elijah will like my present?" "Let's go see," my father said, and we walked to Elijah's shop, and there we could see in the steamy window 3 candles burning in the menorah. The next night and every night of Hanukkah after that, we lit our own candles. My father and mother and I walked past the crowded window of the barber shop. Every night, another candle glowed in my menorah, standing along Elijah's crocodiles, tigers, snakes, and angels. And even when there were cars driving and other people walking the snow-covered roads, our footsteps still left a dotted line between our house and Elijah's. The end.